This is the Game Changers Experience. Deep dive conversations with leading business disruptors, Olympic athletes, celebrities, entrepreneurs, and influencers from around the world. This show will teach you insights about the winning principles in mindset, productivity, marketing, branding, entrepreneurship, business strategy, and more. Hosted by productivity authority, business strategist, former elite athlete, author, and public speaker, Adam Strong.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Game Changers Experience with myself, Adam Strong. And today we have another amazing guest here on the show. And well, before I introduce you to them, I want you to get super excited and give you a big round of applause for me. Sorry about the big hoo-ha. I just thought I'd kind of bit of a joke. Anyway, just wanted to shout out. I haven't done one of these shows in actually quite a while, so I'm really looking forward to today giving some value to you guys. More importantly, for you guys that are listening to me, use the hashtag live, use the hashtag replay, post, like, or comment on the section below, because we're going to be covering an amazing topic today. And the topic that we're going to be actually talking about is how not to pitch to experts, influencers, and thought leaders for your podcast or YouTube channel. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to be sharing some stories with you guys, and I'm going to share some insights about some of the tactics and some of the things that will work for us and for me, and that you could also then practice and go away and do your own thing. So, but before we get the party started, first of all, I wanted to give a big shout out to a number of people here on the show, people that I absolutely love working with, people that I love, people that have given me huge value, especially over the last few days where I've kind of like had so much clarity, right? So I'm here in Cyprus. For you guys that don't know where I am, I'm in Cyprus. And I was over during the weekend, I was actually with my kids, just on my own actually. And I was in the pool and it was just sunny, kind of ambience. And literally I had a conversation back on Friday with my good friend, Mr. Ken Pointer, by the way. Make sure you check out Ken, YouTube strategist. We're going to have him actually here on the show. And it kind of the cogs in my brain like to tick, right? But it's kind of been playing on my mind for a while, which is kind of like rebranding and things like that. But anyway, cut a long story short. So I'm really thankful for Ken. I'm really thankful for Mr. Adam Cox, who's the podcast host of The Hypnotist. Make sure you go check that out because he uses powerful hypnosis for his clients. But also I'm really thankful for some of my amazing guests and clients as well. I really like to champion a lot of my clients, people that work with me, people like Rena Sond, people like Judy Goodrich, people like Lawrence Hodgson's, people like Stuart Johnson, people like Derek Owen, and the list goes on, okay? So sorry I haven't mentioned all of you because we'll be here all day. Anyway, so this is dedicated for you guys that have requested what are the secrets behind getting amazing guests on your show, right? So that's what we're going to be really covering today. And more specifically, you can use this tactic. You don't have to have a YouTube channel, by the way. You don't have to have a podcast, by the way. But if you wanted to do collaboration work with someone that you looked up to in your industry or niche, you can use the same principles. So let's get straight into the meat and bones of today and share you guys with some amazing insight. Now, if you are listening live, use the hashtag live, use the hashtag replay. If you're listening to us on the podcast, we'll put all the show description notes below, of course. Yeah, so make sure that you do that. There's going to be some great value bombs. So pull over if you're listening to this in the car or in the gym. Honestly, you're going to need to rewind back. You're going to need a notepad and pen, paper handy. Honestly, you're going to get some great value from today. Well, I hope so anyway. That's what I think. Anyway, let's get straight in because I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. So I'm going to share with you guys about how to not to pitch to experts, influencers, and thought leaders on your YouTube and podcast. So what's the first one? I'm actually going to start with a story, actually. So believe it or not, I'm not going to mention like their real names, but I actually connected with a guy who's massive in the leadership realm. I'd been following him on LinkedIn. I think we had been connected for maybe the best part of 8 years, something like that, 6 years. 6 to 8 years. And I loved his work, literally loved his work. And the reason I loved who he was is because he used to wear this big bright orange shirt, and he was just curious. Like, he was a curious guy. He was extraordinary, very uncommon in the leadership realm, right? Spoke about things like anxiety, gave a lot of great value in the COVID pandemic. And we started developing a rapport. In fact, what I like to do when I'm on LinkedIn, for example, I like to touch base with people within my realm. I've got, like, I don't know, in excess of almost 4,000 people connected with me, but they're really closely, tightly knit people. And so I like to reach out on an ad hoc basis, just find out if there's opportunity to collaborate, etc. So we started building up some rapport, and I said that I was a big fan of his, etc. And the first tip that I have for you guys, and this is really important, because especially when you are trying to rub shoulders with quick key experts, thought leaders, influencers, is that you've got to learn the art of patience. So it's not going to come overnight. I wanted to just share that with you. It's not going to come overnight. Building a relationship can take months, if not years, to develop and nurture. But anyway, so I was very good friends with my good friend. I basically reached out to him. I said, listen, I love your line of work. I think it's very aligned to what we're doing right now. And back then, this is 2020, which is like 3 years ago, is we were running the Game Changer Summit. So I don't know if you guys remember that. We ran the Game Changer Summit completely free of charge. We had 2,500 people come through. And I said to him, I'm like, listen, what you're talking about in terms of anxiety, I would love it if you would just add some value to our audience. And he loved a lot about my energy. He was also curious of me and my observation and stuff like that. And we were doing similar work. Like, we were adding a lot of value to our audiences, and we had a lot of very similar core values. And so he was like, yeah, absolutely amazing. And so we invited him on the show. We had him on the podcast, which was like right back at the very beginning. And, he had a well of time. Like, literally, we had such an amazing time. We had some great reports and conversations with people on the summit. And what was really interesting off the back of that, gave us a great testimonial, absolutely became a champion effectively of the Game Changers brand, which I'm really super thankful for. But what came off back of that was then we actually got recommended, because I asked for recommendation. I asked for recommendation, and he introduced us to his business partner. And his business partner, we got on really, really well. And then that led to interviewing some of their clients, believe it or not, in the corporate space, stressed out businesses, and just kind of getting some insights around that. So I think what's really important is having kind of like coming from a collaborative angle is the first one. That's the first take, is coming from a collaborative angle. If you come from an angle of collaboration, then it lowers people's barriers, which is really important, because, again, we're getting approached left, right, and center. I certainly am on LinkedIn anyway. Point number 2, and again, this is something that I experienced very, very recently. Provide feedback on it. Might post that you've done. It might be a book that they've published. It might be an episode on YouTube, a video, right? And just give perspective and insight. Like, as an example, so I've got a YouTube channel, as some of you guys know. It's not the best. I'll be honest with you, it's not the best. I'm a YouTube specialist. So a friend of mine, I'm happy to mention Ken Pointer. He'd actually given me some great value as like, hey, have you considered this? Have you considered this? Have you done this? Have you done? Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like he's giving me perspective, and he's giving me thought, and he's challenging why I'm doing what I'm doing and how I can make improvements too. So point number 2 is provide feedback, insight, and perspective. Because if you do it from that angle, they'll appreciate. I appreciate someone who will challenge me, that will say, well, why are you doing it that way, right? So it's giving me insight. So do the same, okay? But again, build up a rapport, which is really, really important. Don't be one of the douchebags that, sell your soul to the devil and pitch yourself on whatever it might be, and in a sleazy, salesy way. No one likes that. Anyway, point number 3, ask for recommendation. Now, I've got another story to share with you guys because, again, back 3 years ago when we did the summit, I had actually met, about 5, 6 years ago, actually, I'd actually met a guy over in London, and we were at an awards ceremony. Now, he'd actually come from Canada originally. And what was really interesting off the back of this is that he had a really powerful story. So he he was in hospital. He'd gone through, I think he went through a car traffic accident. And so he was in hospital, and he had a very powerful story how Jack Canfield changed his life, basically, in a nutshell. And so I was kind of very moved by his story about the fact that he was down in the dumps and that he could not see a way out. And I really listened to him and whatever it is. So wanted him to share his story with people on the summit that, you know what, when you're right down here, the only way is up, as Yaz would say, right? So about a year later, or was it a year later? No, about 6 months later, it was. We continued to create a dialogue because I always like to, keep my connections close to me and continue to stay in touch with them. And I know that person that, Jack Canfield had an influential, massive shift on his life. And what he does is he also teaches some of Jack's stuff. And I said, listen, would Jack be interested in running a summit? This is what we're doing. This is our personal value. This is what our goals are. This is our focus. And this is what we want to achieve. And so he introduced us to Jack. Jack loved the idea. So we went through my friend from Canada, and then he approached Jack, and Jack got in touch with me. We did a 3-way call. We hit off like fire. And we continue to be friends ever since. So asking for recommendations is, again, another great way to and be specific about your recommendations. Are you looking for someone in AI space? Are you looking for, a marketing guru? Are you, so try to be specific, because the more specific that you are, more that someone can actually add value and help you. So that's point number 3. Point number 4, and this is probably something that some of you guys are not consistent enough, okay? And which is content creation. I harp on about this because content creation, yes, it takes up some of your time. However, organically, it makes you show up. It puts you on the stage, all right? But not just to create any old content, and hoping that the content's going to fall flat on a black canvas wall and it's hit many people. No, try to be strategic in your content creation, right? Do stuff that, that's really going to add value to your clients and your audience. But the key fact of the matter is to show up consistently. So if you say that, for example, I follow a great guy, by the way, over on LinkedIn. His name's called Eric. Big on the leadership space. And over the last 19 months, I think it is, he made a conscious decision, all right, to post twice a week on LinkedIn. It was carousel, and it was maybe 2 carousels a week, I think it was. Did it for 19 months. He's now got in excess of 250,000 followers. And that's just through consistency. Because effectively, if you show up, okay, and you create content, then whoever you're reaching out to, okay, they're going to check you out. They're going to see what you are on paper is who you are in the flesh. So this is very important. Create content and think, how am I showing up every day? Okay, because at the beginning part, it's going to be an uphill struggle, but you got to get the consistency. Very, very important. So that's point 4. Okay, more to you guys, but before I go into more, okay, do me a favor, come back to me. I want to kind of bring you back to planet Earth. If you're listening to this and you're enjoying do me a favor, PLC, post like a comment in the comment section below, of course. #live, #replay. If you're listening to on the podcast, feel free to follow me over on LinkedIn, on YouTube, or check me out on adamstrong.net for more information. All right, let's get on to point number 5. This is something which is a bit of an art, something that we don't actually receive enough of. And what we don't receive enough of is compliments and appreciation. So compliments and appreciation, but genuine and sincere compliments and appreciation. And what I mean by that is we have a podcast, for example, right? And recently we had someone got in touch with us and they said, listen, I've been listening to your show for about a year and I just love you in terms of your energy, your aura of authenticity, you're straight up, but you have some amazing gifts. This is kind of like my personal development, my personal growth of the week. Okay. And I make notes and stuff like that, but I take action. And so that's what we received recently. So compliments and appreciation. Now, if you're approaching experts, influencers, thought leaders, show them a compliment, add some value, maybe write a review about them. Okay. Leave a recommendation for them. So think about it. How can you give compliments and show appreciation for their hard work? Okay, very important. And it's really interesting. I get approached probably at least 3 times a day, or so-called experts, influencers, and thought leaders that want to come onto my podcast. I turn 99.5% down. 99.5%. Why do I turn them down? Because they've got it all wrong. They just got it all wrong, because it's always about them and their ego. They're like, oh, I love your show. I love your show with John Lees. I love your show. All right. So great, fantastic, wonderful. But they haven't really added any value. They're just trying to share me their life story. Whatever you do not share your life story with your experts, influencers, and thought leaders. They're busy people. Okay. Put yourself in their shoes. Okay. Don't be selfish. Be mindful of their time. Okay. All right. Very important. Okay, that's number 5. Number 6 is this is still absolutely an approach that can work, which is just a straight up pitch. And I always like to, when I'm pitching to experts, influencers, on thought leaders, I like to be a little bit different in terms of my approach. I'm going to write an email, okay, because we know it's going to go in the trash because they probably get at least 200 emails a day. All right. But be a little bit more innovative. Like, for example, can you record a quick Loom video, for example? All right. A quick video on Loom, for example. Could you share stats and data with regards to why they should come on your show and, what value they could give to your audience, and why it would be a really cool idea to hang out and jam, So a straight up pitch is really important. Okay. But in terms of the structure of a straight up pitch is, why are you messaging me? How can I be of value? Okay. And what do you need? Okay. Really important. Okay. Be succinct, straight to the point, and understanding and mindful of their time. Very, very important. Okay. Don't be one of those people that write a life story. People aren't interested in that. Okay. I want to just point that out to you. Okay. That's point number 6. Point number 7. This is so important, right? I don't know if you've ever seen this. In fact, you've probably made a mistake similar to this. But you've got to make sure that your social media content is aligned to, number 1, who you are as a person and an individual. But also, don't post what you had for dinner last night unless you're a chef, okay? People care, right? You've got to be mindful of what you're actually posting on social media, okay? Because I can guarantee you, just because people aren't commenting, everyone is observing. Okay. I'll repeat that again. Just because people aren't liking and commenting on your posts or whatever it is, it doesn't mean they're not watching. Everyone is watching with their 2 eyes. Trust me. Okay. Want you to be mindful of that. Okay. So just make sure that what you're posting is positive, it's empowering, it's inspiring, it's aligned to your core values, it's about who you are and you in terms of character. It's about maybe the message that you're giving out. Maybe it's kind of like how you're adding value to your audience. So be mindful of what you're posting on social media and always ask the question, why am I doing what am I doing? Very, very, very important. Okay. And my last point, which might not actually be applicable to you guys, but it might be some aha moments, which is kind of a bonus tip, if you like, is if you are a speaker, okay? If you're a speaker, for example, make sure you've got a speaker's reel or some footage on your website or on your social media, but also a great way to position yourself in terms of your credibility is to have things like awards, accolades, and testimonials. Because again, people like myself are going to check that stuff out, right? So if you've got testimonials on your LinkedIn profile or on your website, right, and then like 3 years ago, okay, I'm not interested. I want to see consistency, right? I'm not saying that you need, if you've got no accolades, awards, or testimonials, or they're out of date, okay, I don't want you to go off and get 10 testimonials and post them in a week. No, don't do that. Spread them out, okay? Make sure that you spread them out, okay? It's very, very important. So anyway, listen, this is, we're coming towards the end here, but I wanted to summarize for you guys, okay, some of the key ways in which how not to pitch to experts, influencers, thought leaders. So let's summarize. First of all, make sure that you come from a collaborative angle, okay? I shared the story between a good friend in the leadership space and him introducing us to some amazing characters in the leadership realm, okay? So collaborative angle, that's point number one. But collaborative angle actually with relationship building, okay? Using the art of patience, point number one. Point number two, provide feedback or add value to someone's post, website, channel for perspective and insight, okay? Really important, okay? You're adding value, you're showing ways in which they can make improvements, and they might have overlooked it. For example, regularly I might go onto someone's landing page and the landing page button doesn't work, or their social media links doesn't work, or whatever it is. I've done it many times. They're like, oh, thanks very much. I really appreciate that. You're adding some value, right? Number three, ask for recommendations, okay? So I shared the story of my friend from Canada who introduced us to Jack Canfield as an example. Point number four, content creation. Make sure that your content is consistent in what you do, okay? And it's targeted towards your specific target audience, but also the importance of showing up. Very, very important. Show up regularly, okay? That's one of the biggest downfalls where people, entrepreneurs and leaders in particular, just don't do enough of consistency. Point number five, compliment and appreciation, which we covered a little bit more. We don't receive enough of them, okay? But it's nice when we do, okay? Point number six, straight up pitch, okay? Be a little bit spontaneous in terms of the way that you approach. Don't write an email and tell us your life story, okay? I mentioned that before, very important. Point number seven, social media, okay? So make sure your social media content is aligned to your core values, but it's also aligned to the message that you're trying to get out there. And also, what I was going to say to you as well, just have kind of like, for example, if you've got clients, for example, and you might have organized a social gathering, whatever it is, getting them to put out social media and tagging you, that also helps in terms of credibility as well. And bonus tip is if you're a speaker, or even if you're not a speaker, but awards, accolades, endorsements, testimonials, speakers footage, and footage in general for your websites and your social media, make sure it's on there, make sure it's up to date, make sure it's there, because again, it positions you in the right field, but it enhances your credibility, because that's what people are looking for right now, okay? So I hope I've given you some great aha moments from today. So if you are running a YouTube channel or a podcast, do me a favor, get in touch. I'd love to see some of your YouTube channels. I'd love to see some of your podcasts, because again, I'm learning as well. So listen, reach out to me. It's hello@adamstrong.net. That's hello@adamstrong.net. Or if you don't have any of those, you follow a YouTube channel in particularly regularly, or you listen to a podcast, do me a favor. I'd like to know what you listen to. Because again, we can only become better by evolving, okay? So hope you've enjoyed today's show for you guys. Like I said, post, like, or comment in the comment section below. If you feel like I've given great value as well, do me a favor. We actually have a link below, and it just helps. And you can click on the link, by the way. And if you want to make a small contribution, it goes toward our production and whatever it might be. There's a link below. You don't have to. You don't feel obliged to have to do so, but you're welcome to add value. And we love hearing from you guys. Listen, hope today's show has been of value. Please leave a 1 or a 5-star review over on Apple or on Spotify, where we greatly appreciate that. Anyway, from me, Adam Strong, I hope you're well and take care, and we'll see you soon. Chases, bye-bye.